Let's talk through the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Let's actually look at the numbers behind it as well. So let's take the example that we are going to have a lump sum in one of our policies. Let's say we have $100,000 in our policy, and we are interested in taking out a loan of $50,000 to make a purchase. That could be in real estate, in your business, it could be personal life, doesn't matter what the expense is for. Let's look at the example of how advantageous it can be, again, looking at simple interest versus compound interest. So the left-hand side here in this blue color, you're seeing simple interest calculated. What that means is we're only being charged an interest rate based on the original principal. So if I wanted to take $50,000 out, one of the insurance policies, the loan provision is going to be a rate of 5%. That's going to be the interest rate. It varies between companies between 5 and 6%. In this fictitious example, I'm taking a 10-year loan. Now, remember, with these policy loans, though, you get to set the term. So you technically can make this whatever you want. It could be 1 year, 5 years, 50 years, or you could not pay it back at all. You get complete flexibility there. But just to have an apples-to-apples comparison, let's assume we were taking this out for a 10-year period, and we were going to make a monthly payment of $530 back to our policy for 10 years to repay this $50,000 loan that we took out. Right, so if we're looking on the right-hand side now, on the green side, you see the exact same thing on the compound interest. $50,000, 5% annual compounding rate, 10-year period, with a monthly payment exactly the same. And the question is, well, how do they compare if we're going apples to apples and we look at the rate of return that we're paying and the overall interest that we're paying? Well, if we look at the simple interest, you'll notice there's no interest balance because no balance of interest accrues in simple interest. And so each time we make those payments, we're paying back and paying down the loan, right? And so if we look at the long and short of it, this is the number that matters. What is the total interest rate? If I was going to set up this program and have $50,000 that I paid back over a 10-year period with a 5% rate, I'd be paying about $13,000 total, or a total future value of what I took out of $63,000. I borrowed $50,000, $13,000 of it was interest, $63,000 total. Now, let's look on the compound interest side. This is the types of loans you're going to be getting with a credit card, a bank, a mortgage, a car loan, things like that. If we look out at total interest, $49,666, right? For a future total value of $163,000. So just for the opportunity to borrow 50% at 5% compounding, you'll notice we're paying significantly more with compound interest, because as you begin to pay, you'll notice this column right here, cumulative interest. This is the interest that's accumulating and building on last year's balance, right? And so you don't have that with simple interest. And in the beginning, it might not be noticeable, but as things scale out, compound interest drastically affects the overall value, right? So we want compound interest when we're getting paid, but we do not want to pay compound interest when we're having to, have a loan out or make a payment. And so it's significantly different. You're talking about $49,000, almost $50,000 versus $13,600, right? So what is that? That's almost 3 times the amount you're paying just for having it structured with compound interest. So that's why I make the caveat when we are looking at our policy loans and realizing the flexibility and control here. We can take this loan out at whatever term we want, whatever payback term we want. And when we actually do pay it back, we're only accruing simple interest. So it's much less overall, and it's a much more advantageous strategy because you're paying so much less between the two here, which is obvious. And you also get flexibility. If this month you wanted to just pay $200 because you had a car breakdown or some kind of expense came up, you could make a zero payment or make no payments. Over here on compound interest, if this is with a bank or some kind of lending source, you can't skip a payment. That's not an option, right? Your rate's going to go up You could get penalties and fees. And so you are locked in when you set that up. So that's why people love the idea of overfunding their life insurance policy, having flexibility inside that account so that they can make payments on their terms. And when they actually do want to make payments back to the insurance company to make the loan whole, it is at the cheapest, most advantageous rate possible, and they are not accruing a ridiculous balance in the meantime.